This was our learning should be a panacea. We were talking about the Parhedrin, and we said that the Parhedrin were officials that were anointed, that were elected for 1 year at a time. So, what did this have to do with the Kohen Gadol that would be put in this room before Yom Kippur? We said, well, every year the Kohen Gadol would, because it was a new Kohen Gadol, he would renovate that room. It's called Lishkas Parhedrin because it was like a new election every year, a new renovation. Okay, Tanan Hassan, start over there. Where is over there? Mishnah in Demai. Demai is produce that you learned Demai? No. That's Canaan.
Yeah, Demai, something that you're not sure.
Right. Produce that's purchased from an Amaret. So the rule is that you have to retake Trumas and Maasros. Now, what exactly do you need to take? The Mishnah says in Achtaimim, the bakers, the stages are only instituted that you have to separate, you have to give the Trumas Meiser and Chala. Trumas Meiser is after you take Meiser, which is 1/10, which goes to the Levi is supposed to separate 1/10 of that. It's Meiser Mina Meiser. Okay. And Chala. How much is Chala? So a baker gives 1/48, and a homeowner gives 1/24 of the dough. We just take a pinch. But in those days, Chala had a size. Doesn't mention that he has to take Truma Gedola, the first Truma. First Truma, the word Truma is Trei Mimeya, 2 out of 100. 2%. 1 out of 50. So Truma, what happened to the Truma? It doesn't have to take, it don't say Trumas Meiser. But it could be you purchased this produce from an Amaretz. Maybe he didn't take the Truma either. And you have to, in order to eat the produce, you have to fix it, right? Well, 2 out of 100 is going to be 1 out of 50. This like Truma Gedela, like that you don't have to take Truma Gedela. Why? The tiny we have a brisa. The future Shalach B'chol Yisrael, because they did a survey. They saw that this is one thing that the people kept. People kept Truma Gedela. If a survey, people may still make Kiddush. What goes on after that and before that, I don't know. But okay. So Truma Gedela is one thing that everyone kept. So if that's the case, so then if you purchase produce from someone that you don't trust, the Truma Gedela he probably took. So you don't have to take the Truma Gedela. Meiser Rishon and Meiser Ani. What happened to the Meiser? We didn't say anything about Meiser, about taking the Meiser. Says that's Namilai. You don't have to take the Meiser Rishon or the Meiser Ani. Why not? The rule is because you see there's two types of fixing that needs to be done. One type is that it becomes consecrated, becomes holy. Truma becomes holy. Zor is not allowed to eat Truma. Yisrael is not allowed to eat Truma. Or a Levi is not allowed to eat Truma. Only a Kohen is allowed to eat it. Meiser, it's given to a Levi, but anyone can eat it. It doesn't become sanctified. It doesn't become holy. It just belongs to him. It's a monetary gift. It doesn't get elevated into something. Meiser Sheni is different. But regular Meiser, regular tithing, doesn't become holy. So it belongs to him. So this is a doubt if it belongs to him. So because it's a doubt, so what happens? So the Levi shows up and says, where's my Meiser? You tell him, prove it that I owe it to you. I bought it from a guy that I don't know if he owes it to you. But just because I don't know doesn't mean that I have to give it to you. What's the rule if you don't know? If you want to take money from me, so you bring the proof. Okay, so now we understand why he doesn't have to take Meiser. What about Meiser Sheni? Meiser Sheni, let him separate it and bring it up to Yerushalayim. Meiser Sheni does become sanctified. and he eats it himself. He doesn't give it to anyone. That's the interesting thing about Meiser Sheni is that it's not a gift. You just take it on your own. It's your own spending money when you go to Yerushalayim. Amar Ula says, "Mitech sheparhedgen halalu chayften I call you beis chedesh v'imrim le mechru bezal le'echur rabbanan." What happened is that the parhedgen, which were these officials, would come around and they would make them, the bakers, sell for cheap. So the bakers didn't have a lot of money. So we didn't want to, you see, when it comes to Demai, we don't know if they really have to take it. There's a chazaka that could be that everything is fine, but we're strict, so we tell them to take it. But over here, because the bakers were so poor, because the parhedrin would, these officials would come around and make them lower the prices of the bread. They didn't have a lot of money, so we gave them a lenient opinion. He said that you don't have to take the Meiser Sheni. We were lenient on them because they were so broke. You follow? My parhedrin, what's the parhedrin? Kursi. Kursi is some sort of officials. I don't speak Greek, but
why would they come to so cheap? So slow? I mean, it could be anything. Tomatoes.
I don't know. Rashi says that they were looking for some sort of excuse to collect money. I don't know what that has to do with selling selling the bread cheap. Maybe you were saying.
Yeah, they bought for less, so it's really good for them.
They bought it for less. I understand they buy it for less is good for them, but how does that help them collect more taxes?
No, it's the opposite. They make a higher tax, so they can't pay. They still pay a lot, right? They make up to $10 profit. They have to pay like $5 tax.
Uh-huh.
So for less, like the way tax brackets work, but know where it is and nothing.
I know, but here they're telling them to sow it for lower, and somehow they're trying to get more money.
No, what I'm saying, it's not. They didn't make them do less. They made it that they have to pay more to do higher. So they wanted to do less.
No, there's cheap.
I don't know the answer. Maybe what they were doing is they were doing something for the benefit of the people. Say, look at how good we are for the people, and therefore you should vote for us. You know, we're lowering the prices of the bread. Yeah, the bakers. Right. So the bakers union. Amar Rabba Bar Bachana Amar Rabbi Yechanan. Rabba Bar Bachana says the name of Rabbi Yechanan. I missed this one major Tosfos Yishanim here that discusses why couldn't they be paid the Meiser Sheni with the Shava Pruta. There's a rule that you can be paid you're not supposed to, but you can be paid the hektish, not for the exact value. I could be paid the hektish, something that cost $100, I could redeem it on something that cost a penny. And theoretically, I could have gotten rid of this whole question over here. How come they don't get? I could have done it with such a simple way that even if they don't have money, but at least they could just use that one little penny, and they could resolve huge amounts of Meiser Sheni. Anyway, okay. Amar Rabba Bar Bachana Amar Rabbi Yechanan Maidiksiv. Rabba Bar Bachana says the name of Rabbi Yechanan. What's the meaning of the pasuk? Yiras Hashem Teisif Yamim U'Shnais Rishayim Tiktzerena. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. The fear of God increases days, and the years of the wicked shortens it. Yiras Hashem Teisif Yamim. The fear of God increases the days. Zemikdashishan Shaman Arba Meis Ve'eser Shanim. This is the first base of Migdash that lasted for 410 years. And there were only 18 Kainim Gedalim in all 410 years. There's a grove over here. See, the grove says only 12. Tosfos starts off. I'm sorry? Oh, we're going to see because we're going to contrast it to the second base of Migdash. You see the Tosfos? Rivagar Shmeina Kayim. Because he counts the Kayanim in Divrei Hayamim, and it turns out that there's only 8 that are listed there. Okay, our argument says that there's 18 Kayanim in the first base of English. Out of 410 years, everyone was in office for a long time, right? Shneis Rishayim Tiktirena, the years of the wicked, it's shortened. Zemik the Sheni. This is the second base of Mikdash. Shama Dalid Meis Ve'esrim Shana. That lasted for 420 years. V'shimshu Vayesim Mishalosh Meis Kainim. There were more than 300 Kainim. So that would be each Kayan lasted under 2 years, about a year and a half, right? Does that make sense? Kayan Gadol. We'll see in a moment. Now, from this, it's not really accurate that each one was a little over a year. Subtract 40 years that one Kain Gadol was there, Shimon HaTzadik, he was a Kain Gadol. Okay, what are we left with? 380, right? Shmoinim Shishimish Yechanin Kain Gadol, and 80 that Yechanin Kain Gadol is now down to 300. Esther Shishimish Yishmael ben Pavi, 10 more years, we're on 290 that Yishmael ben Pavi he served. V'amri lo yiral Shishimish Rabbi Elazar ben Charsem. And some say that there's 11 years that Rabbi Elazar ben Charsem he served. And okay, so 279. Okay, Mikan ve'elach Tzevach Shev Kol Echad Ve'echad Lo Yetzi Shnasei. Each one, the rest of the Kainim, they didn't complete the year. It was less than a year. That's the Aleph over here. Yeah, they didn't all make it through Yom Kippur. Okay, let's take a look. There's a Bach. You see the Bach over here in Aleph? Amr Rabbi Yechanan ben Tursa. He has another piece of the Gemara here that the Bach says, Amr Rabbi Yechanan ben Tursa, v'chol kach lama. Why was this? Because they bought it with money. Damar Abasi, Tarkava the Dinri Aile Marta Baspaitis Liani Malka the Ukmal Yeshua ben Gamla Bekani Ravervi. Rabasi says that a tarkiv, which is a measurement, I think, of 2 kav of dinarim of coins. Do you have this is this Gemara inside the translation? I don't think it's in there. This is the thank you. So Rabasi says that Marta Baspaitis. Remember Marta Baspaitis? I think she's the one, Martha. She's the one that stepped in the fig in the fig of Reb Tzadok that and she died. She was a rich woman and she was looking for food. Anyway, she gave King Yanai 2 kavim, a tarkiv of golden coins to instate Yeshua ben Gamla as the Kohen Gadol. You see, that's part of the story that they had to put. Why did they're not last? Because they had to pay for the position. V'amar Rabbi Yechanan ben Tursa. Now we go back. Yeah, and it wasn't. So Rabbi Yechanan ben Tursa says, "Mipnei ma charva Shiloi." Why was Shiloi destroyed? Now we're going back to Shiloh, not the base of Mikdash. Shiloh was the temple, was the Mishkan Shiloh, right? Why was Shiloh destroyed? Mipnei shaya b'shnei devarim. There were 2 things that were not correct there. There was Gili Arayas. Gili Arayas is adultery. It was Zayin Kachim, and there was disgrace. They were disgracing the Karbanos. Gili Arayas. Well, where do you see Gili Arayas? The Ksiv the Eli Zakein Ma'id B'Shamas Kol Sheyasin Banav L'Chol Yisrael V'Esa Sheyishkun Asanoshim Matzev Specify Al-Ma'id. Because Eli was very old, and he heard everything that his sons were doing to all the people, and that they were laying with the women who served at the entrance to the tent of meeting. That doesn't sound good. Even though we have a statement from Rav Shmuel bar Nachmani in the name of Rabbi Yechanan that whoever says the children of Eli sinned, that they're making a mistake, they didn't get the story correct. However, in Elataya, mitaych shesho eskineim mia malale makasat kilo shakram. They didn't take care. The women came to bring their their sacrifices. And they didn't take the women right away to get the sacrifices over. They made them stay overnight and delayed it. Now, because they had them delay from getting back to their husbands, so it's considered as if they lay with the women. They should have taken better care to make sure that they should be able to get back on the same day. It sounds like it was on purpose. What were they doing? Yeah, they weren't. Maybe they wanted I would assume they wanted the women to hang around.
By the way, before we get too far, about the 300.
Yeah.
We learned in Chicago that 300 is a phrase in the Gemara that just means lots.
Oh,
remember?
Isn't that interesting?
So maybe we don't have to work so hard to prove the 300.
The problem is say that it's making a calculation that if you calculate it, it turns out this could be a different one because it concludes with a calculation.
But it doesn't make sense that it would exactly 300.
Right. It didn't say exactly. It said more than 300. The next thing. What was the second thing that was wrong with Sheila? It was they disgraced the sacrifice. Even before the fat was burnt on the altar, the lad, the kayan would show up, and would say to the person that's slaughtering, give the meat to roast for the kayan. We don't want it already cooked. Give it to me raw. The man says, let me first offer the fats, and then take whatever you want. He said, give it to me now. Or else I'm going to take it by force. They wanted the meat right now. The sin of the lad was very great in front of Hashem. Because the men disgraced the offering to God. Okay, so there's two sins that they did over there, and that's why that was destroyed. Mikdash Rishon Mipnei Macharav. Why was the first base of Mikdash destroyed? We'll get to that in a moment. Why was the first base of Mikdash destroyed? And Gimel Devarim Shahayabah, because there were three sins: Avodah Zarah, Gilarais, Shvichas Damim, idolatry, adultery, and murder. Those are the three sins. Idolatry is worshiping idols, and adultery is living with women that are married. Avodah Zarah, or other forbidden relations. Avodah Zarah, where do you see Avodah Zarah? We quote a pasuk. In the Mefarshim asks, we quote a very obscure pasuk. It's all the prophets are filled with people are worshiping idols. You don't need an obscure pasuk. You read it. Open up any book, and it says that they're worshiping idols. It says, "Kikatzar hamatzar mishtareya." The bed was too short to stretch. My katzar. Oh wow, very nice. So how do you get here? Oh wow. No way. Okay. You have to have two apps, the Uber, Lyft and Uber, and you check it. It's weird. The prices are. So what does it mean the bed is too short to stretch? My cuts are matzah mishtareya. Rabbi Yonasan says, Katzer matzah zeh. This bed is too short. Mishtarer alav shnei reim kechad. To have two friends, it's not really friends. Two people ruling. Now, the issue over here is like this. It may be that Katzar, I'm not sure what Rashi means. Rashi's throwing in here, telling me that one of the words here means a tzara. A tzara means that if the man has two wives, the wives, a rival. That's what it is. A tzara is a rival. Yeah, that there's a second wife is there. We're talking about that there's, in the Beis Hamikdash, there's the service of Hashem, and there's also the rival, there's also an idol there. So you would possibly have two priests, two kainim, one kain and one priest. The kain is serving Hashem, and in the same Beit Hamikdash, there's another fellow that's bringing things to the Avodah Zarah. This is proving that there's Avodah Zarah going on, and that's what it seems like. This is the first Beit Hamikdash. Right. So, Amar Rabbi Yonis and Katzim Matzim Mishtar Alav Shnei Reim Kechin. You can't have two rulers, which may mean two Kayanim ruling. Otherwise, it would mean two. Shnei Reim would mean Hashem and an idol. It's a weird expression to use. Shnei Reim. That's strange. It must mean two Kayanim serving.
And the word, if I'm not mistaken, the word finds that because it's two killings, but they wanted to go ahead and like their kind of
Right.
both pushed in their own.
So that would be in the second Mishnah. So what else? It says V'amasecha tzara kiskanis. The cover is too narrow to gather. It's too small to gather everything in. Amr Shmuel bar Nachmani. Shmuel bar Nachmani says Kimati Rabbi Yona's son. Lahaikra. Bachi. He cried. See, it's interesting. Shmuel bar Nachmani said before the name of Rabbi Yochanan. Here it's Shmuel bar Nachmani in the name of Rabbi Yona's son. It's interesting. It's usually Rabbi Yona's son. That's why I'm not sure if the last one is a. I wonder about that. I have an old Gemara. I don't have to know. I don't have the manuscripts. Something. It said Yochanan without any note on it. Okay.
Yeah.
There's no note.
No.
Okay. So Kimati Laikra, when Rabbi Yonasan came to this pasuk, Bachi, he cried, Amar man deksiv bekainis kaneid mehayam. Regarding the one that it says that he gathers like a heap the waters of the sea. Nasatli Masechet Sarah. So for him, the cover is too narrow, but he says it like this: the idol becomes a rival. Masecha could mean a cover, or it could mean an idol. Like that's a pesel Masecha, right? And Sarah could mean narrow, but it could also mean a rival, like a rival wife. So for the one that is able to gather the waters into a heap, for him the idol becomes a rival wife. A rival. Why do I have to bring the most obscure? Okay. Gile Arayas.
No, we supposed to attach it with English.
Oh,
You had to cut it off.
that's a good point. Gile Arayas Diksiv. Where did it see Gile Arayas? It's written in the pasuk. Vayomer, the adultery. Vayomer Hashem said, Yan ki gavu b'nai Tzion. Because the daughters of Zion walked haughty, and they walked with their throats outstretched. Mishakre sinayim, wanton eyes. We did have this in Shabbos. Remember the wanton eyes? They walked with mincing steps. It's small steps. Baragleim tachsena. It doesn't. I'm sorry. What? How do they translate tachsena? With their feet, they tinkling. Okay. Yan ki gava b'nai Tzion. We go back to the beginning of the pasuk. Because the daughters of Zion were haughty. I don't know what this means. They would put the tall girl. A tall girl would walk next to a short girl. I guess to show the contrast. Maybe does that mean they would make the short one feel bad, that they would show that they're taller? They would want it to show how tall they were, so they would always find someone short to walk next to. Vatilachna Natayas Garain. What is that? So, who was saying that? He loves it on the plane. They were with the throat stretched out. They walk very straight. What does it mean? Wanton eyes. They would fill up their eyes with paint, with makeup. what's it called? Mascara, maybe. Halich b'tafaf telachna. They walked with mincing steps. He walked with the heel next to the toes. So they would take like these tiny steps, dainty. With tinkling steps, with feet. Rabbi Yitzchak says they would take myrrh and balsam, those are spices and perfumes. They would put it into their shoes. When they come to the next to the bachelors, the Jewish bachrim, they would kick and they would make the perfume come out from their shoes. There's two versions here. They would put into the man a Yetzirah. A Yetzirah means a desire to be with them. The Yetzirah like the poison of a viper, right? Keres, like the poison. Okay, Shvichas Damim. Where do you see that they have that there was murder? Even the innocent Menashe killed. Menashe was one of the kings. So until he killed the innocent.
These women were married?
Oh, that could be. It says B'nai Yisrael sounds like this, just regular girl. Right. Right. Maybe B'nai Yisrael means married. B'nai sounds like girls, but it doesn't. It does not necessarily sound. Could mean B'nai Tzia. It could mean married. Okay. He killed so many people that the Yerushalayim was filled from one side to the other with blood. Aval Mikdash Sheni. Now, okay, you ready? Fine. Mikdash Sheni Sheis Komentary Mitzvahs Gimel Chasadim Pnei Macharav. Right? What about the second base of Mikdash? They had Torah and mitzvahs and Gimel Chasadim. Why was it destroyed? It's strange, no? They had Gimel Chasadim, but they also had Sinas Chinam. That's strange. Sinas Chinam means baseless hatred. Let's see. But this teaches us Sinas Chinam is so bad, it's as bad as the three cardinal sins of Avodah Gilaras, Shlichas Damin. It doesn't take it that, but I mean the punishment is that bad. Now, the Bach over here says, he adds in these following words. The Mikdash Rishon lo have a beis sinas chinam. In the first base of Mikdash, they didn't have any sinas chinam. V'aksiv, I don't know what the pasuk is. Rishayim hayu, that they were wicked. Did we quote that before? I'm not sure. But they trusted in Hashem. That changes the story a little bit. I guess not. Now it's different. Asan Mikdash Rishon, we come to discussing the first base of English. The Ksiv.
Wouldn't the first one be worse? It's like saying they believe in God and they don't say.
Let's take a look at what it says. Roshel b'sheichad yishputu. The leaders with sheichad, with bribery, they judge. Kayanem b'mechir yairu. The kayanim for a price, they paskin. Neviah b'kesef yiksuma. The prophets for money, they'll divine. They'll give you the response that you want. Bal Hashem yeshanu leimar, and on Hashem they trust, saying, Halei Hashem b'kirbeinu le'sevelinu ra. God is with us. Nothing is going to happen to us. Lafikach, therefore, Hevelem Kadosh Baruch Hu Gimel Gezeres Keneged Gimel Aver Shubiyadim. You're probably right. It's because it makes it worse. That you think that you can do whatever you want, and then you say that Hashem is with us, so we're going to be protected. So Hashem brings on them three decrees. Because of you, it says, therefore, Zion will be plowed over like a field. Yerushalayim ayin tia. Yerushalayim will be ruined. V'harabayas l'bamis yar, and the harabayas will be like a bama, like a shrine in the woods. Yeah, it's a forest in the woods. Oh, is that a Icha? No. For Micha. Well, a shrine, it means that it's not going to be populated. Mikdash Rishon, Leihaya by Sinas Chinam. Mikdash Rishon, we didn't have Sinas Chinam, but Tiv. Oh, that's what the Bach was doing. The Bach was skipping all of this down to this. That's what the Bach did. He skipped this. Gemara. Mikdash Rishon, Leihaya Sinas Chinam. Mikdash Rishon, they didn't have Sinas Chinam, but Tiv Megurei El Cherev Hayu Es Ami. They were cast in front of the sword by nation. Lachain Tzepaik El Yarach, therefore strike the thigh. Vamar Rabbi Elazar. These are people they eat together. And they pierce each other with the swords and of their tongue. So on the side it says Elazar. My Gemara has Eliezer in parentheses. Then on the side it says Tzarfleimer Elazar. It's common for it to be Elazar because Rabbi Elazar. This is Rabbi Elazar ben Pedas. He's a student of Rabbi Yochanan, and it's common for him to have these sort of statements. I'm taking just a guess at that. So what are you saying? Look at what they were doing to each other. They were insulting each other while they're eating together. They would pierce each other with swords. Stab each other with swords of their tongue. That means they would give barbs, sharp remarks to each other. Today we would call it bullying. Hahu b'nasi Yisrael havai. That was talking about the leaders. That wasn't everyone. Over there says Elazar. Diksiv, as it says, Zak v'hillel ben Adam ki hi haisa ba'ami. Cry and wail, son of man, because it was so with my nation. B'tanyan was taught in a brisa. Zak v'hillel, cry and wail. Ben Adam yachal akol. Maybe that was to everyone. Talmud Leimer hi b'chol nasi Yisrael. That was with the leaders. So the leaders apparently did not get along. The common people got along. There were just fights in the politics, the newspapers. Everyone else was fine.
Yeah, it makes sense. If you just get something thrown at you, you look at a couple of things, you're not going to do it. Everyone is talking about it. You think it's not. You don't find it, it's not right.
So what are we saying now? We're saying that in the first base of Migdash they had the three sins, but sinas chinam was not a common issue. Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Elazar. So machlekes Rabbi Yochanan. Oh, I'm sorry. Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Elazar dami tarvayo. Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Elazar both say Rishayim sheniskala avaynam niskala kitzam. The first base of Migdash, they didn't sin in private. They sinned in public. They didn't conceal their sin. So therefore, when their punishment was going to end, was also open. Everything was open. The second base of Mikdash, they sinned in private, and so therefore, when their punishment is going to end, is also private. We don't know; it's also in secret. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, it's unclear what Rabbi Yochanan means by this. He says that the fingernail of the first generation is greater than the stomachs of the second base of English. Now, it may mean that the fingernails, which are sharp, a sharp poke from the first, from the Bayis Rishon, would be better than a soft stomach than of the second. I'd rather their poke than his pleasant. That could be one shot. Also, it could be size. It could be size. That both of them are round. That the small nail was greater than the large stomach. That could also be the shot.
I agree.
Amar Rish Lakish. Rish Lakish says, Adarabba, Achreinim Adifi. He says the later generation is better. Because Afagav Dika Shibad Malchis Kaski Batari, even though they were under the other empires, it was difficult. They were under the Romans, the Greeks and the Romans. They still were busy studying Torah. That's great. Amalei, they said back to him, I guess Rabbi Yochanan, Bira Techiach, look at the base of Mikdash. That's a proof. Yeah. For the first base of Mikdash, they got it back. Second base of Mikdash didn't get it back. Obviously, the second base of Mikdash was worse. They didn't get their base of Mikdash returned. The first base of Mikdash got it returned. Yeah, but by the second base of Mikdash.
When you got this is a return.
Because the sin was so great, that's why it's not coming back. Shalosh Rebbe Lazar. They asked Rebbe Lazar, Rishainim Gedalim, Ayachreinim Gedalim. Who's greater?
I thought you meant not like period size.
They're talking about comparing Rishayim.
Yeah.
I mean, they're
Gemara does though compare. Gemara does compare. So who is greater? The
maybe since it's legally
first ones, first base of English to the second. Amalei Tinoi Nechem Bebira. Look at the base of English and you have your answer. Ikadamri Amalem Edechem Bebira. Your witness is the base of Mikdash, another version, which could mean like this: that the first base of Mikdash, the remnants of it were left there. Second base of Mikdash was entirely plowed over. It was raised to the ground. Rish Lakish have a kasachi biyardena. Gonna hear a story here you don't hear. Rish Lakish was bathing in the Jordan and the river. Asa Rabba Bar Bachana Yav Liyadi. Rabba Bar Bachana came by, gave him his hand to help him get out. Amalei Alakas Anechel says, by God, I hate you. He doesn't mean him. He means like you people from Babylonia. The Ksiv, because Rabbi Bar Bachana was from Babylonia. He was a. You'll see in a moment. He was a relative of Rav Bar Bachana. Rav was Babylonian, but what happened was Chana is Rav's father's brother. He's another brother of Chia. Rav Chia was Rav's uncle, and Edu was Rav's father, and there was Chana, and there was someone else. There were five altogether. Ema was the sister there. Anyway, whatever the case is, so he came from Babylonia, Rabbi Bar Bachana. So he says, the Ksiv, it says about you, if it's a wall, if you would have come back like a wall, then we'd build for you a wall of silver. I guess tiras kesef means coat it with silver. If it's a door, then put on it a board of cedar, which means like this. Remember the people that came back from after they had an opportunity to go back to Eretz Yisrael after the Galus Babel, after 70 years, they were able to go back. And the only people that went back were 42,360 people. They didn't have more than that. I remember because 4.5 is 2. 3 doubled is 6. And if you don't know that, then you're a 0. No. 42,360. So 360. I think that's what it is. Yeah, I'm going to be the 0. So it's nothing. 42,000. So if so they got comfortable in Bavel. So if Yodel would have come back, so then Nimshaltim Kakesef, you would have been like silver, Shane Rekav Shelet by that doesn't rot. Silver can last. It gets tarnished, but it will last. Akshav Shalisim Kedalses, they came back like doors. I guess the difference is that a wall is like a long thing, like many rocks put together. You just came back like a door, which is just one Nimshalchem Keres, he came back like cedar, Sharek of Shelit, that rot rules over it, like it decays. My eres, what does this mean? I guess what does it mean that it's similar to the cedar? Amar Ula Sasmagar. Okay, my Sasmagar. What is Sasmagar? I guess Sasmagar is supposed to be translated as a worm that comes into the wood and eats away at the like a termite. It eats away at the wood. Amar Abba Baskal. This is talking about like this. Why is the second base of Mikdash similar to this worm? It's because the only shechina that they had there was just the Baskal. They didn't have more than that. Well, we don't pass in halacha. Kidatanya.
Covering over.
The Baskal is just the voice that comes out. As it says in the Brisa, Mishemesu Nevi'im Achreinim, when the last prophets passed away, Chagi Zechari Malachi, Nestalcha Ruach HaKodesh MiYisrael, the Holy Spirit left, but they still had the heavenly voice that would come out. The Gemara asks now, Rish Lakish mi mishtoi bahadi Rabba bar Bachana? Would Rish Lakish really talk to Rabba bar Bachana? Umar Rabbi Elazar the Maradar di Yisrael Avi v'le'av mishtoi Rish Lakish badei. If Rabbi Elazar was so great, he's considered Maradar di Yisrael, the master. Just 1 second, let me just finish the sentence. The master of the land of Israel, and Rish Lakish wouldn't talk to him. Why demand the Mishnah Rish Lakish badei b'shaki avaliyaska b'lei sadi? Because anyone that talks to Rish Lakish in the marketplace would get a loan without witnesses. If Rish Lakish would talk to you, you were like, oh my gosh. So they would give you a loan without witness. Bahadi Rabba bar Bachana Mishdai, Rish Lakish would talk to Rabba bar Bachana. So Amar Rav Papa. We have to put another person in there to make the story fit because Rish Lakish went to struggle. Just 1 second, yeah. Let me just say. Rish Lakish Havi Uzairi. Either the story was with Rish Lakish that he's in the water, and it wasn't Rabbi bar Bachana that was trying to take him out. It was Zairi. That was also great. He was a Rav of Zairi. He was a contemporary of Rav. Rabbi bar Bachana Havi, or maybe it was Rabbi bar Bachana, but it wasn't Rish Lakish that was in the water. It was Rabbi Lazar. Rabbi Lazar. When he came to in front of Rabbi Yochanan, I guess Rish Lakish, he told him what he told him. That's not the reason. Inami sliku kulo even if they all would have come back, the Shechina still wouldn't have been there. As it says, Yafta likim liyefes, Yishkin Balishem, that Hashem will enlarge Yefes, and they will dwell in the tents of shame. Afal gav the Yafta likim liyefes, even though Hashem will enlarge Yefes, Ein Shechina Sher Ela Balishem, the Shechina will only be in the tents of shame. Now the Gemara is going to discuss what does it mean Yefes. Yefes is referring to the Persians. We always thought Yefes was like Rome or something. Well, I don't know. Greece. We always said Greece was Yefes. Here we're saying that Yefes is the Persians. We'll see it tomorrow. I'm sorry. What was your? You want to ask something?
Oh, I was saying, you know how like all those keys